right. We are going to talk today about how to draw in AutoCAD the Arco lamp. This is the iconic lamp from 1962, and it's a very specific size, very specific proportion with a marble base and also specific stainless steel lamp and aluminum shaft. Um, Very heavy, very elegant design. Some very specific dimensions: 9.4, 21.5 inch tall marble base with a 2 inch hole slot running through it. And we're going to use the bigger one, the 68 and the 78.6 for the sweep. So we're going to go ahead and create a brand new AutoCAD file from the scratch template and the ACAD template. And the ACAD template comes in as decimal. So we're going to have to make that one little change it to architectural units. You also may want to change it to the drafting mode for make it easier to set up our layers. So initially we'll set up the layers that we want to use. It only comes with layer 0. So we're going to add layers for actually uh, the uh, the floor. There's going to be a floor underneath the lamp. We're going to set our colors as we go here. We're going to have a layer for each element. So the lamp itself is a separate element, it's a separate material, the polished stainless. So we're going to go ahead and set the third layer. We're going to have yellow be the light fixtures. So we're going to make light fixtures at the very end for the rendering, and we'll make those yellow. And then we get that base itself and the sweep. So the sweep is called that because we're going to use the sweep command on the top round portion of the lamp and make it look exactly uh, like this iconic Arco lamp. So the base, that's the heavy marble base with the 2 inch diameter hole blasted through it. So now we have all the layers that we need for this project. We're going to go ahead back into the 3D. You can use 3D modeling or 3D basics. I'm going to be in modeling. So the first thing we're going to do is set up the box. Set our view the way we want it. I'm going to set up the marble base, and we're going to set that up first with the size that we know, 9.4 by 9.4 by 21.4 high. So AutoCAD used the relative command, the at command, and then for the height you just type it in, 21.5. So next, what we need, we set it to its proper layer. So we're going to be working on the base layer. We set this to its layer by selecting the object and then selecting it onto the correct layer. Base is going to be this layer. And then we're also going to draw a cylinder to subtract the 2 inch hole from the marble base. So we're going to draw that. Go ahead as a cylinder. We give it first the base. So the base comes in, we have to select diameter. It's 2 inch diameter. And then we just need to use this to drill through the block. So we're going to make it 16 inches. Okay, taking a different view of this, and then we're going to use the 3D rotate command and the move command to put the hole driller into the right spot. So 3D rotate, pick the object that you want to rotate, pick the axis, and then we're going to do 90 degrees. And then check out where it is relative to the object. Go ahead and move that. And then we move the object in another direction, make sure it's in the right spot. So to lift it up, we can use the move command at relative. So we do at 0, comma 0, comma 8 inches, moving it up 8 inches in this case. So that's approximately still in the middle. We'd still like to move that over a bit. It's a bit towards one side. So that looks almost correct. It should probably be up a little bit taller, but that's going to be okay for this real quick demonstration. If you're going to use this model, it's going to be a really neat little thing. And we're going to do a quick rendering with light fixtures at the end. So now we're going to go ahead and make sure that we saved our file. Save it in a location where you're going to know what it is. And save this resource separately as a model that I can later then import into other AutoCAD files. I can import this into Revit. I can export this as a DXF and bring it into just about any 3D modeling package. So now what I want to look at is the materials. So we've got a few materials. We're going to have the base floor, which is going to be a granite. So we're going to search for that first. Granite, flooring. And we'll use this gray speckled granite, add that to the project. Got that. The next material, we're going to need the aluminum, the polished aluminum. So we're going to look for some polished. We use metal and then find polished aluminum. There we go. And then add that to the document and display it. Looks good. Next material. We've got our stainless steel, our polished stainless steel lamp, metal, and stainless. There's a polished stainless. Add that in display. Okay, looks good. And then the other material we need is the marble. So we'll find a marble that's suitable. Stone, let's see, coarse, probably too coarse. We don't really want a coarse one. Let's do this next one, fine alabaster. So we're gonna add that and display. Looks good, really good. So we got the materials taken care of here. And then now we're gonna go back to our home screen. Now we're gonna do our subtraction. So we're going to subtract the hole out of the object using the cylinder. So the cylinder, first you select the object you want to subtract from, then hit enter, and you subtract using the cylinder, hit enter, and it's done. And so now we can select this. We've got our materials made, select the object, and use our properties command to change the material. So for our material, we created all of our materials. This is the marble material, so it's fine alabaster. Okay, take a look at that. We're going to use the realistic view. Now we're going to jump back to our reference and take a look at which side that we want to start building our sweep on. So we build it on the side away from where it's closest to the hole, where the hole is closest to the thing. We're going to use the 68 and the 78.6 dimensions. And then remember that the lamp itself is 11.5 inches in diameter. We're not going to use a lot of detail on this one. If you want to have a more detailed model for the lamp, you can poke the holes in the lamp. We can really get detailed with that with a little bit different technique where we make a shell and then we subtract the holes from the shell. But for this little model, a really quick model, quick and dirty lamp that's going to work fine for you, you don't need that amount of detail. And if you're going to use it in a BIM, then it's probably got too much detail. So you don't want to do that. Okay. So we just want to draw it in a fairly simple manner so that we could use this model in a number of 3D situations. Okay, we're on the base layer. We're going to do a cylinder and then make sure that that is on the correct layer afterwards. Our cylinder we at the base point of the center, then we have to tell it we want to make a diameter. We want our diameter to be 1.5 inches, and then our height to be 68 inches. So this is going to make us a tube that's 68 inches tall, 1.5 inches in diameter. So this has been measured off of the cut sheet. We're going to then select our object and put it onto the sweep layer because this is going to become part of the sweep. And then what I want to do is move this accurately to the back of the middle of the thing. So we're going to use accurate points, use quadrant points of the circles, and we're going to use the midpoint of the back of the block of marble. Excuse me. In order to do this, we're going to have to change our view a little bit and move it around so we can see these points better, and so we could snap them into place. So we're still in the move command. And we're going to type in the quadrant command for our base point. So base point quadrant back there. And then we want to hit the midpoint of this granite. The midpoint of the granite looks like that is something else. Let's do the midpoint. Oh, let's try that again. Invalid point for the midpoint again from here. And that's the midpoint. So now it lines up perfectly. If we look at the top view again, we'll see that it's perfectly against, but the quadrant point against the marble. And so now we're going to draw the next piece of the sweep, which is a 15/16 inch circle to start with. 15/16 inch diameter circle. So, oops, not radius, it's diameter. So let's undo and do that again. Undo, that's Control Z. You circle again, center point, change it to diameter, and the diameter is 15/16. All right, so the circle's there, and then we're going to sweep that circle on a 180-degree arc, which is 78.6 inches in diameter. So we're going to use the start and an angle, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult. We should actually have used my at command here, and I didn't use the at command, so this is not going to work out. So I'm going to have to flip it over the other way. Undo that. Okay, and we're going to flip it the other way. It's going to make the circle come in here and look better. Okay, sorry about that. Redo. Maybe I'll cut this out of the final. So let's see. We get the start point. We want to go back to our arc. Under the draw commands, arc, start, and an angle. That is our correct arc configuration. All right, and pick our center point, and then go in the other direction here. Perpendicular, using our at command, at 78.6, comma 0. And then we have the 180-degree arc. Oops, 180 degrees. There we go. So now we have an arc, but not only is it sitting on the ground, it's also leaning over. So we're going to first move it, and then we're going to use the 3D rotate command to flip it up. So that's going to give us the right angle. So 3D rotate, select the rotation point, rotate it up 90 degrees. Whoops, this is reference. So reference that, and then go 90 degrees from there. It'll click into place. There we go. Now it's turned around. We end up drawing it funny. And so let's go ahead and rotate that again. Center point here, and then 180 degrees. That in the right configuration for our sweep. So now we can do our sweep command. Let's zoom in on that guy, and then sweep. So we pick the object we want to sweep, which is a circle, hit enter, pick the rail, and then hit enter, and it is swept. All right, so now we've got that piece. We can select those guys and then change those materials to the polished aluminum. Polished aluminum shows up nice. And now we're going to draw the lamp itself. So we want to switch over to the lamp layer, and then we're going to use a sphere. We're going to go over to our sphere command, use the center of the sweep, and then give it a 11.5-inch diameter. Oops, that was radius. Too big. Undo. So let's do that again. Sphere. Center point. Switch to diameter. And then 11.5 inches gives us the correct size. Now we've got the correct size for our lamp. Now we need to draw an object so that we can cut the bottom point off of the sphere. So we're going to draw this object. It gets drawn on the base. The object just needs to be big enough to cut out this flat spot up here. So it's not going to be really easy to draw it in this angle, but I'll go ahead and show you that. I'm trying to draw it here, and it's just going to be impossible to pick the points because of this angle. So we're going to have to switch our view a bit and then come back to a more isometric view and then draw our box in position. So draw the box underneath here and then up to the cutting point on the lamp. There goes box, approximately up here. See how that looks. Oh, looks to be a little too tall. So go ahead, we're going to adjust it with these points here. Of course, not in this view like this. We can't do it in that view. We can do its other view. So let's get the idea. Yeah, about like that. Let's see how that looks. So, yeah, let's move this into place. It still looks a little bit tall. We're cutting off too much, so we need to come and adjust this thing. So let's set this up so we can adjust this cutting block a little bit relative to this. In this case, we may want to change it over to a different view. The realistic view is not helping us here, so we'll go to wireframe. Then we can see the control point here, and then just take that down a little bit. You can see it's coming down a couple inches. Let's take a look at that side view, see how that looks. Let's see. So we're going to subtract that as is. Subtract the object first, hit enter, and then the object you want to subtract from it. And now we'll take a look at the side view. We're pretty confident that that was the right spot, doing the right thing. So this looks like the classic Arco lamp. Let's go ahead and move this lamp down a little bit here. Let's get a little better view. Just move this down, just straight down. And from this control point, the lamp down like that. Just so it still overlaps some. Get it inside like that. Yeah, just so that thing goes inside of there completely. And now we have another layer for our light fixtures. So we're going to select the light fixture layer first. So we'll be placing our light fixtures on their own layer, and then go to our visualize tab, and then go to the lights section. create lights. We're going to start with a point light for this. And we're going to turn off default lighting, recommended. Place this right in the center. We're going to name this Arco 1 for our point light, so we also know what that is. And then the intensity factor for now, we're going to make that 120. It'll be a little high, but that's okay. We're going to hit enter and move along and take a look and start visualizing what is going on. So AutoCAD has the capability of adding extra environments we're going to do here in a bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the base, and we're going to make that look like granite. So we're going to have this little, use a box, do that on the floor layer, make ourselves a box, just go under the lights like that, and then start it, and then say 6 inches. So we're going to go 6 inches down to the floor. We're going to select our properties and change the material to the granite, the gray granite, speckled like that. So then we're going to get the light fixture and change that to its material, which is the polished stainless. Well, we've got everything set to the proper materials. We start visualizing our object here and moving it around until we get a pleasant angle of view that we'd like to see it from. So we've done a lot of work here. So as soon as we get this into a really nice view, we're going to go ahead and make sure we save our file and keep it up to date, because now we've added the materials, we've got everything almost ready to go. And this is about when AutoCAD would crash. So I'll go back to the Visualize tab, and we're now going to go ahead and talk about rendering. So to get rendering, we have to be in perspective. Perspective value has to be set to 1. So now we're in perspective. Now we can do things with our rendering tab. We can turn on our environment and adjust our exposure. So let's turn on the environment and then change our image to the snowfield. We're going to use the snowfield. And then we can adjust the image. We've got a nice little sunset back there. We can zoom in, set this thing to the proper angle that we want to see it at, and zoom in and zoom out and adjust it to the center. Roll it around like this until we get it just right. So we can zoom around in this environment in many different ways and adjust our model to it. So then we can change the view cube, keep going around and around. Okay, so the best viewpoint, I'm going to do a little bit of this sunset in here. I think that's going to be pretty good. Size this thing up and then zoom it around like that and kind of make the horizon above the plane, and then zoom back in, get this thing zoomed in, get the lamp with the light fixture just a little bit bigger than what you see on the screen. The rendering will end up just a little bit bigger. So we do it realistic, so it gives us an idea of what we're doing here. Then we can see if we need to adjust our light fixture. We could maybe adjust our exposure a little bit. Change our exposure there. Back it down a little bit, or make it brighter. Yeah, let's back it down a little bit. We can see the materials better, and then it's looking pretty good. And let's just adjust the light a little bit. Do a spotlight onto our object. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's place our spotlight. Put the spotlight up here and then point it and then snap to the marble base. Spotlight, that's fine. Intensity, we'll make that. So let's see. Yeah, 25. All right, so we're zooming in here back to get our view. This looks like the light fixture is having the effect that I wanted, which is a little highlight on the base. Once again, adjust this to a view something like this, a little bit more uh, than what you expect. Zoomed in, and then we're going to do a rendering. Another rendering picture. It's looking pretty good. It's not exactly adjusted the way I want it, but we can then we get one that's adjusted right. We can save it in a number of different image formats, JPEG, or whatever. You know, pick your spot. Remember your resource spot where you're going to put these things, and save that. Say OK. And now, in less than a half an hour, we've created an Arco Lamp and done the rendering